Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. A happy new year for those who are joining us for the first time. This is Danielle Moody of the Damn Digest and Wajat Ali of the Left Hook. And Danielle's a trooper. She's joining us from an undisclosed foreign location. She got the F out of America at the right time.
Yes,
Uh,
I did.
she's like, peace out. But she thankfully has joined us, even though she should be relaxing. And we're going to call today's episode of Democracy Ish MAGA's Cosplay Crusaders. So much so much has
Good.
happened over the weekend and so much has happened today. So, Danielle, spinning the wheel, where would you
hmm
like to start? Would you like to start with Pete Hegseth, an alleged rapist, the least qualified Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, trying to now threatening to demote Mark Kelly, a hero, because along with five other Democrats, he actually told those who serve to follow the law and not follow illegal orders? Or do you want to start with the fact that Tim Walz got swift voted and has announced that he's not going to run for a third term, and now that piece of shit Nick Shirley is taking credit for it, saying I ended Tim Walz on Twitter? Or do you want to talk about the fact that by law the DOJ was supposed to compel information about the Epstein files and their redactions, but they didn't? Or do you want to talk about the fact that Donald Trump illegally invaded Venezuela, kidnapped Maduro? His hearing is today, and also threatened to basically do the same to Cuba, Colombia, Mexico. Also threatened to bomb Iran, and openly said we need Greenland. They're just some of the things we could start with. Where do you want to start?
I will take Greenland, Cuba, Iran, Venezuela for 300. Watch.
Imperialism, yay! Okay, look at you going ambitious. All right,
I'm going
spinning the
ambitious.
Cosplay Crusaders being imperialistic. Over the weekend, for those who didn't follow, in the brand new year, the day that the DOJ was supposed to release and produce information about the Epstein files and why they were redacted to, hide Donald Trump's name. Coincidentally, Danielle, the United States decided to remove Maduro illegally, kidnap him, his wife, on drug charges because, Donald Trump
Yep.
is really, really concerned about drugs, which is why he just pardoned the ex-president of Honduras, a friggin' drug smuggler. And then openly, when asked about it twice, said, we run it. And then yesterday, little Marco Rubio told the New York Times, actually, we're going to have we're going to have some people controlling and then see, yeah, meh, 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 meh. And then on Air Force One, so like, yeah, little Marco said this, but who's running Venezuela? He goes, you won't like my answer. You're like, what's the answer? We're running it. So there you go. Apparently, we're running now Venezuela. He mentioned oil more than 20 times, not drugs, not democracy, not helping the people. The Democratic leader or the opposition leader, Machado, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, thrown under the bus. Reports are saying that he's really pissed off still at Machado winning the Nobel Peace Prize instead of him. And reports came out yesterday, Danielle, that the reason that what tipped him off to finally remove Maduro, it's all part of Project 2025. We've talked about this on Democracy Ish, was because he was really pissed off at Maduro mocking his dance. Oh, and now,
Yeah.
like you said, he's threatened to go after Cuba, Colombia, threatened bombs against Iran, threatened Mexico, and also is openly saying we need Greenland, which prompted the Prime Minister of Denmark to say, we're a member of NATO.
Right.
Danielle, take it away.
So, I mean, here, look, you did a wonderful job in laying out for those that are smarter than we are and actually take weekends and holidays off to relax and restore and rejuvenate themselves, in laying out where we are. And the fact is that Donald Trump is like a spectacular liar to his base. When he told them in 2024, this was going to be America first. We're going to no more unnecessary wars. We're going to, focus on making America great again. This is why there are divisions inside of that Nazi camp, right? Which is MAGA. And it is because you have the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Steve Bannons, the Nick Fuenteses that are like, the fuck are we doing in Venezuela? Why are you talking about Greenland? Why are you talking about not having a problem whatsoever in putting boots on the ground in Venezuela, because that's what he said yesterday. He said, oh, there were what did he say as he was bragging about capturing Maduro? That there were plenty of boots that were on the ground, and we're not afraid to put boots on the ground. So what you're saying is you're not afraid to kill American soldiers for your quest of manifest destiny and dividing the world up into thirds between you, Putin, and Xi Jinping. So it's like this lie that I am just wanting to see how the MAGA strongholds are going to look at this new imperialist, like minded Trumpism and make it about America. Like, make it about how somehow Donald Trump making the capital of Caracas into the capital of Chevron, how that is going to benefit Americans. Like, it's not. And
Well,
so I think that
speaking about
yeah.
Chevron, no, real quick, I don't want to slow your roll, but I think it's a really important point. Speaking about Chevron, it's a very good point. And throwing it back to you, yesterday, he was asked by a reporter on Air Force One. So I'm going to quote the reporter. Did you speak with the oil companies before the operation? Did you tip them off? This is the exact quote Trump said. Before and after, they went to go in and they're going to go do a great job.
Okay. So let's just sit with that for a moment. That Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, his Secretary of State, told the press that we didn't have time to tip the Gang of Eight inside of the Senate because this was a robust operation that really needed to take place in the moment, right? Like, this is basically what Marco Rubio said to the press. We didn't have time. We had to, this was a law enforcement, and he kept saying it was a law enforcement exercise. Invading another country and kidnapping their leader is a law enforcement exercise? No. A traffic ticket is a law enforcement exercise, right? So Donald Trump had plenty of time to alert the oil CEOs and oil tycoons, but didn't have the time to notify Congress, who is supposed to be the body that is co-equal to the executive branch, that would then allow for you to not go alone with this invasion. Because you see, the thing here too, with me and this and Congress and the fact that we don't have a functioning Congress or a functioning Supreme Court, is the fact that when Bush decided to invade Iraq, right? Bush didn't do that on his own. He had the backing of 99% of Congress, right? So he wasn't going to catch a stray in being like, oh, I'm doing this cowboy style and I'm going out here on my own. No, we're all going to be responsible for what happens in Iraq. But what Donald Trump is doing differently is like, I don't really give a fuck, right? He doesn't care about history. He doesn't care about the future of this country. He's only invested in the now. That's how insatiable and greedy he is. He's only invested in the now. He'll put boots on the ground. He'll kill your sons and daughters. He doesn't care, right? It's just about what he can get right now. And that's, to me, look, I don't even want to say it'll be his downfall, but that is how, if you imagine Bush being smarter than Donald Trump, even though they both use similar tactics for their invasions, one decided, you know what? I'm not going into Iraq alone. You all are going to give me the okay to do it. I'm going to say it's weapons of mass destruction. I'm going to say that they're responsible for 9/11. I'm going to say whatever it is that I can to avenge my father, because that's what that was about. But Donald Trump said, nah, I'm going to go it alone. Who's going to check me? Who's going to stop me? And at this point, absolutely fucking no one.
At least have the decency to lie to us properly. I mean, I'm old enough to remember, like you said, they did an entire theater and Colin Powell came out and he had a vial and there was Netanyahu and weapons of mass destruction and mobile laboratories and a yellow cake from Niger, right? At least engage in some type of a coherent plot. But they're so reckless, so arrogant, so incompetent, and so bloodthirsty. They're like, no, they literally contradict each other, folks. Marco Rubio, little Marco, went yesterday on the Sunday morning, got destroyed by Kristen Welker, got destroyed on Meet the Press because this is literally from one mouth they're saying we're against drugs, the other mouth they just pardoned the ex-president of Honduras, right? In one
Right.
mouth saying like I need the FIFA World Peace Prize. Give me the Nobel Peace Prize. Give me the Nobel Peace Prize. Another hand, they're like, We just took out Venezuela and we're going to go after Greenland. We're going to after Colombia. None of it makes sense because all of this is an imperialistic vision based on the hubris and fickleness of a dying man and the broligarchy to whom he serves, right? And so now they don't even have, there's no shame, Danielle. That's the thing is, if you've been following
No.
MAGA,
Yep.
I mean, I was thinking about this last night a lot and today because how do you shame shameless people? We've talked about this a lot. All of these MAGA reeks, and all their tweets are there, folks, and we've just brought out their tweets against them. All the Matt Walshes, all the Will Chamberlains, all of these MAGA online reeks. If you vote for Kamala and Democrats, you're going to have forever wars. Why vote for Democrats and imperialism? America first means concentrating America, no military interventionism. Every single one of those MAGA right wing reeks now, 180-degree turn. And I'm sitting there looking at you like,
Yeah.
bro, you literally for the past year and a half campaigned on this. You're literally applauding Donald Trump for being the most peaceful president. You sat there and gave him verbal fellatio as he demanded the world give him a Nobel Peace Prize. Remember that? He says, I
Yep.
just peace with Israel and Palestine, which he didn't. Give me the Nobel Peace Prize. Give me the Nobel Peace Prize. The Peace Prize went to Maria Machado. He just threw Machado under the bus, has Delcy Rodriguez as the puppet for now, literally has no real justification for kidnapping Maduro and his wife. Furthermore, back to Danielle's point, he sat there, he goes, we had to do this suddenly. And then they say, actually, this took several months. We've been planning it for a while. What? And
So
then he's
right.
and he's like, "Oh, this has nothing to do with oil. This has to do with all the reeks, the Rubios are like, no, no, this has to do with oil. Has to do with like justice and freedom and democracy." And Donald Trump's like, "No, oil."
But I
How
just like
people?
the other piece of it too is like listen to the language that this imperialist colonizer is using about this sovereign country of Venezuela, talking about the fact that their oil is actually America's oil because
My
Donald Trump in his white nationalist colonist mind believes that the Western hemisphere is his to own. Do you understand?
Well, he called it Donroe Doctrine. Oh no.
That folks can watch on my YouTube about the move from the Monroe Doctrine to the Donroe Doctrine, which is just escalated militarization violence in order to achieve your ends. And
Wait,
the
Danielle,
fact is, no one
Danielle,
is going to check him, Wash, because America has the strongest military in the world. So unless we see, right, this broader alliance of all of these outside groups reform an alliance against the United States, I do not see how Donald Trump is stopped. And to me, that is what is terrifying. Supreme Court ain't going to fucking stop him. Congress is inept. They might as well be a limp dick. Like you can't find them anywhere, right? So it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? He is going to gobble up the Western Hemisphere. He's going to go after these nations that do not have the legitimate military power to combat the US. And if he's saying I can put boots on the ground, what's to stop him from doing that? Right? Like China said, release Maduro now. Okay, so what are you going to do, China? We're playing chicken right now. What are you doing? Are you going to put more tariffs? Are you going to sanction the United States? Like, what's going to happen?
can you hear me, Danielle, or no? Oh, you can? Okay.
Yes, I can hear.
You froze for a second there when you were talking about your video. So I wanted people, and a lot of people didn't catch it. So what's the video that you were talking about
Oh,
there, Danielle?
sorry. The video I put up yesterday was like a deeper dive into the Monroe Doctrine and the Donroe Doctrine, just giving a little bit of history and context. It's up on my YouTube channel. It's also up here on Substack right now. Just giving a little more history and context because I want people to understand that what Donald Trump is doing right now in Latin America is not new, right?
Yeah.
But it's the fact that he is not even amusing us with the veil of pursuing democracy or pursuing, defense of America or anything like that. Like this is naked imperialism, right? But the United States interference in Latin America is centuries old. Do you know what I'm saying? So like that's what I wanted folks to understand. And that video is up now on the Damn Digest and on YouTube.
And when has regime change ever worked in Central America and Latin America? And furthermore, if you don't want to go back to the 20th century, we're old enough to remember the 21st century, the disastrous war on terror sold to us on lies. The weapon of mass destruction, you look, God, they're the world's worst, dumbest, most ignorant, incompetent people. Fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction. Remember that? And we were saying, wait a second, whoa, that happened 2 weeks ago. We're like, wait, wait, wait. I remember this story. And then they said all these drug traffickers were invading us. We have to blow them up. They were seeding the ground since the summer. And even before the summer, folks, in Project 2025, it's clearly articulated that they wanted to replace Maduro because one of the largest oil reserves in the world is Venezuela. And Donald Trump, again, he can't even lie properly. He's openly saying it. Oil for the oil. We want to control the oil. They stole our oil. What do you mean? And so now you have to think about it. Donald Trump is saying he's the president of the United States. You have to take him literally and seriously that we, the United States, have just removed Venezuela's leader, corrupt as hell, it doesn't matter, but illegally removed him, right? And his wife, and now are running a foreign country and are
Yep.
going to produce oil so that we can be wealthy. And I keep asking, who is this we? Who is the we that's going to run it?
Come
Who
on.
Who's the we that's gonna get wealthy? Because I ain't getting a check. You ain't getting a
Nope.
check. Anyone who's
Nope.
watching us right now, the 1,200 people, let me know if you're getting a check. He just admitted he consulted with the oil companies before and after, and the Wall Street Journal came out with an article the day of the invasion, a few hours later, openly talking about how all these oil companies have already planned a meeting to go to Venezuela in March. Now, Venezuelans, like anyone else, are a proud people. And there are guerrilla groups and groups that get radicalized real quick. So now you're saying a foreign country is going to come to your country, squat there with oil companies, take
Yep.
your greatest resource, and then
Yep.
use to profit themselves. How do you think that's going to work out, folks? And then also, as he's saying this, take him literally and seriously. And this is where I wanted to rant with someone. I want to rant with you. I was with Lev yesterday. And someone just mentioned Reb Source said that he's a rabid animal who's tasted blood. I completely agree with you. Who's going to stop him? Congress is completely ineffectual. Congress, if you saw the tepid responses by Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer, because they secretly are perfectly fine with this. They don't like Maduro. Their donors are all the oil tycoons. Notice that? Look at the European leaders, folks. The majority of the European leaders, when this happened, this tepid response. And I said, okay, European leaders, I think I tweeted this. Wait till tomorrow until he goes after Greenland. Then he mentions Greenland. And I said, congratulations, European leaders. You played yourself because you're perfectly fine with Maduro being replaced and now all these oil companies coming in and profiting you and your donors. But now, guess what? This rabid dying animal has tasted blood. He's like, oh, no one's going to stop me? All right, cool.
Exactly. This is
I'm going to go for
so.
Greenland.
I'll
And I'm
say I'll say this. I'll say this real quick. So I was on the dumpster dive known as X, right? And I saw a post by Professor Robert Pape, who Robert Pape is a professor of political science at the University of Chicago, specializing in, what does he say? Security affairs, founding director of Chicago Project on Security and Threats. And this is what he posted yesterday. He posted a map of Venezuela, right? A map of Venezuela. And he goes, Venezuela is primed for resistance to U.S. controlling the oil. Perfect terrain for insurgency. Plenty of armed groups already, as you just alluded to, Waj. Far worse than Iraq. Chaos is coming. This is literally a man who has been studying, right? Security and insurgencies around the world and is saying, do we really think that Venezuela just lays down and says, do with me what you will? Do we really think that there aren't other guerrilla groups, different pockets of violence that are going to pop up? What Donald Trump is doing is going to cost lives. It is going to cost so many people's lives, right? And I don't think that folks are understanding that. They have no plan right now for who is running, how they're running this country. They have no plan for exit. But he was the one that went after Biden about the disaster, which was a disaster of Afghanistan after 20 years, and then leaving Afghanistan, leaving the people behind, and now it's worse off than it was 20 years prior to U.S. intervention. This is what we're going to look at when we see Venezuela, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And Colombia also, the Colombian president is going hard in the paint. I don't know if you've heard him, man. He is mocking him and ridiculing him and saying this is all distraction from like pedophiles and the Epstein files. And he referred to Venezuelans as their fellow brothers. And he said, you know, when an imperialist comes and goes after your fellow brothers, we stand up for them. So he didn't like that. So imagine you go after now in any shape or form, even if it's a surgical strike, but you interfere with a foreign country, Venezuela, Colombia, even now, Daniel, I don't think people realize even the words that the president is saying, threatening violence against Mexico, Colombia, Cuba, already did it with Venezuela, Greenland,
Iran.
Iran. This has repercussions, right? This has repercussions. People don't sit there and go, oh, okay, ha, ha, ha. They're like, oh, wait, okay, now we're going to beef up our defenses. We're going to look for other alliances. We're going to, like, make sure that we could be safe from this friggin' threat. Look at Canada when it comes to the economy has openly moved away from the United States and is going to China. So this is going to help China and Russia and the broligarchy. And speaking about the spheres of influence, there was this one I talked about this with Lev. Only CNN was the only news outlet I remember covered this. I don't know how I fell upon this several months ago, but Russia was openly talking about Russia taking the Balkans, Poland, and Ukraine, and the United States and Trump taking Greenland and Canada and Panama. This was several months
Yes.
ago. And then CNN
Yes.
was one of the rare outlets that actually translated and said that was a really strange thing that was said on Russian TV. And the spheres of influence, really, folks, if you think about it, the Western Hemisphere, Trump, Europe, North America,
Eurasia.
North
Yeah.
Europe, uh, Russia, and then all of South and the Southeast Asia, China. So that's what we're witnessing right now happening in real time. I would not
Yes.
be surprised. I would not even be surprised if Russia and China were given a heads up about what was happening here. It's a big club. Go ahead.
I disagree. I do not think that Russia and China got a heads up. Here's what's going to end up happening, right? It's like three different mob families deciding to agree on how they're equally going to divide shit up. We know that one of those motherfuckers are going to get greedier and want more, right? We know that that's what's going to happen. And Donald Trump is that Pac-Man, the one that is just gobbling, gobbling, gobbling up everything and has the military to back it. But what we don't think about is the intelligence infrastructure that Russia has already used since 2016 to disorient Americans, right? With disinformation, and the other intelligence infrastructure that China has in order to disrupt, oh, I don't know, literally everything. So the way that this supposed division, this equal thirds is going to, I really believe we are going to witness, Waj, what scares me is a team become of Russia and China, the BRICS, and that whole like faction. This is a realigning of the axis of evil with the United States at the head. But if Russia and China are both against Donald Trump, like it the danger that he is putting our country in, that he is putting the citizens of this country in, cannot be said enough.
No, so I agree with you. It's a realignment, but unfortunately, it's a realignment in which America becomes weaker because Russia and China are
Yes.
fighting the United States of America, and this is actually hurting the United States more than it is hurting China and Russia. And they just sit there and let Donald Trump is the wrecking ball. They just sit there and say, "You go ahead and do you." We've seen Donald Trump in a stupid trade war. Who has it helped? Hasn't helped Americans. It has brought the grocery prices up. It has engaged in a trade war. Our allies have now turned away from America and gone where? Wait for it. To China, to Europe, right? The attack on immigrants, the brain drain. All of our best researchers, scientists are being picked up by who? China, Japan, Europe. When it comes to foreign travel, we've lost about what, $50 billion in tourism. When it comes to civil unrest, trust and faith in America, we see Americans negative double digits on the economy, negative double digits on healthcare, negative double digits on the Epstein files, right? Lack of faith in our institutions, more measles, so we're sicker. Now more whooping cough, right? The greatest wealth transfer in history is about to happen thanks to the GOP billionaire bill. What's going to happen? The dismantling of our healthcare. So literally, because of white supremacy and greed, what we've always talked about, the two enduring sins of America, the analogy that we've always given on the show, when given a choice, between sharing a giant mansion with a beautiful garden with the rest of us or burning down the mansion. America will always choose to burn down the village. And this is it, folks. Donald Trump is the inevitable end result of our
Come
unchecked
on.
of avarice, greed, vulgarity, misogyny, and racism. This is America, folks. Hey, everything could be great. Just give a little bit to the people, be a little less greedy, don't be a white supremacist, treat women with respect. And America's like, no. No, we're going to vote for Donald Trump again. And this is, if I may rant before we talk about cosplay crusaders and what's happening with Kexet and others. I had a simmering rage inside me over the weekend, and I usually don't get too angry against all the establishment hacks, all the pundits, all the overwhelmingly, not exclusively, wealthy white folks who live in New York and DC who told you and me that we were hysterical, who said that we were
Yep.
suffering from EDS, who said, don't worry, he has a racial trip up. He has a racial flare up. Be nicer to MAGA. Come on now. Why are you so mean to them, Waj? Why do you keep mentioning the words white supremacy? Why do you keep saying racism? Come on now. Can't we all just get along? Charlie Kirk was doing politics the right way. And I sit there and I think about it, Danielle. And it's the world's worst I told you so. We were on the right side of history. We're still seen as crazy. We're still seen as hysterical. They still want to bear hug these people. They would drop kick us right now in January 5th, 2026. They will still drop kick us and elbow stomp us to go bear hug a Marjorie Taylor Greene. And these people were completely complicit in where we are right now because it benefited them, because it didn't affect them personally. The Ezra
Yep.
Kleins and the Aspen festivals and the New York Times and the Washington Post that also got tipped off, folks. The New York Times and the
And they
Washington.
decided not to report on it. They decided not to report on it when the New York Times and the Washington Post were tipped off about what was going to be going down in Venezuela. They said, no, no, but the lives of our troops. No, you are fucking complicit because anybody that gets a breaking scoop like that, and this is why, folks, this is why you all are here on Substack with independent journalists and independent voices and independent analysis because the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journals, they are not to be trusted. They are complicit. And they knew that if they ran that story and something did go awry, then they were going to be liable and they were going to have to fall on the knee to Donald Trump. So they said, oh, let us just do it in advance. Because if any proper outlet had been notified that this was happening, and Al Jazeera or Guardian or The Lever or or Zeteo or any of these places, they would have run the story.
I
Right?
would have read the
Because
story.
Donald Trump invading a country and kidnapping a president, regardless of who that person is not the business of these United States.
And it's
And it's
illegal.
going to get worse.
And it's going to get worse, and it's illegal, and he tipped off the oil companies, and the oil companies apparently have been planning it for a while. Like what you said on that story, my God. And then furthermore, and I know people say, well, if I may continue this rant for a second, because I think this is important. We have to realize, folks, what Daniel and I have been saying for a while is take these people literally and seriously. They are white nationalists. They are promoting Nazi conspiracy theories. They are racist. You saw it 10 years ago. Very fine people on both sides, right? All of those individuals, Nick Fuentes still has not been condemned, is now openly embraced. One of the people, of the 1,600 people, Daniel, if you saw the violent insurrectionists,
Mm-hmm.
was pardoned. There's video of him leading these marches saying, Hail Hitler. You know, Hitler was right. The white man needs to like protect himself from the N lovers, right? This is who they are, folks. We're seeing the broligarchy, Elon Musk go full white nationalist. Speaking about the broligarchy, I'm going to have
Mm-hmm.
Gil Duran and Jacob Silverman on at 2 p.m., who've talked about the tech bros. Folks, for years, Peter Thiel and the tech bros have talked about taking over Venezuela and taking over Greenland to create the network states, right? This is their whole plan to create these type of independent sovereign nations, right? That basically are decentralized and run by the broligarchs. The broligarchs pretty much get to piecemeal, feudalistically cop up the
Yep.
world. I'm not making this up. You think this is crazy? It's Praxis, the network states. We'll talk about it in 2 hours. So you got Peter Thiel, the broligarchy, Elon Musk. Guess who was there yesterday talking to Donald Trump? Guess who's chummy chummy now with Donald Trump again?
Elon Musk.
But because he's like, oh, you're gonna go do this Venezuela thing and Greenland thing? Okay, I want in. My bad. Sorry that I called you a pedophile. We're buddies now. So you got the broligarchy, you got these oligarchs, you got these dictators, you got the world's worst people drinking all of our milkshake, openly being white supremacist, and meanwhile, you got these milk toast, useless establishment Democrats. Danielle, what more do people need to see? You know, they get angry at you and me. They're like, oh, no, vote blue no matter who. Why are you so mean at the Democrats? I give you Mamdani. This man increased in popularity coming into last week. Harry Enton said he's like plus 35. Have they embraced Mamdani yet? I give you the eight moderate Democrats who threw literally all the Americans under the bus and decided to cave. As of the new year, folks, Obamacare subsidies have expired for millions of Americans. Danielle, healthcare has gone up, and then I give you Schumer and Jeffries, who were delayed in their response. I haven't seen them on TV. We'll talk about Chris Murphy in a second. And they've said, well, Maduro, they all said the same script. Maduro was a terrible, shut the F up. We all know Maduro's terrible. Friggin'
It doesn't like, but that doesn't like
terrible, terrible.
the talking point. This is what pisses me off. And this, as a media professional, as a person that trains candidates, as a person that trains people to go on television, the thing that pisses me off the most is that you do not go on TV agreeing with Donald Trump. You go on TV and you say, you know what, the actions that this president just took were illegal. Right? And they violated international law. They violated our constitution. They violated our co-equal branches of government. How did Donald Trump notify or the oil tycoons before he notified the Gang of Eight in the Senate? How do these things happen? Right. And so that's the conversation. You don't go on and say, oh, well, Maduro's a bad. I don't give a fuck. Just like you and I believe in free speech, right? That means that the people that want to say vile, hateful things against us, guess what? In the United States of America, you have that free speech to say those things so long as they are not threats, so long as they are not overly harassing. I believe in the freedom of speech, right? Which means that I believe in your ability to be a vile, hateful fucking human being. So the fact of the matter is that if you then believe these things to be true, it doesn't matter if Maduro is a dictator. What matters is what we follow as international law. Because what is the difference between what Donald Trump is doing and what ICE has been doing around the United States? What's the difference between going in and somebody deciding, you know what, Donald Trump seems deranged and crazy and America seems ripe for change, so we're going to send in somebody and take him out? I mean, like, that's not how we have rules of engagement and engagements of war and code of conduct for a fucking reason. You cannot violate that because you don't like the person.
Well, there's no rules-based order anymore, which is why what would keep China from taking Taiwan? What's going to keep Israel from bombing Iran? Watch that space, folks. What's going to keep Russia from taking more and more land, right? They could just point to America. So it is the wild, wild west. It's a complete realignment, like you said. And I want to give a shout out to three elected officials who I think did things the right way. I'm going to quote Chris Murphy. He came on CNN. He said, quote, the invasion of Venezuela has nothing to do with American security. Venezuela is not a security threat to the United States. This is about making Trump's oil industry and Wall Street friends rich. Trump's foreign policy of the Middle East, Russia, Venezuela is fundamentally corrupt. AOC said this has nothing to do with Maduro. This is all about oil and regime change. And then Chris Van Hollen came out and said the same thing. You keep plastering that message, and Americans who are against the 1%, who are against the billionaires, who are against the broligarchy, who are sick and tired of forever wars, who are against corruption, that resonates with them. And then you can tie that into the greater story, the big broligarchy, the pedophile ring, these rich, powerful men protecting themselves from raping girls. You tie that into the Epstein files. Then you say we need a wealth tax because they're drinking all of our milkshake. Then you talk about the big billionaire bill, right? But what happens if fundamentally, Danielle, these elected officials are all part of a big club? And some might call themselves Democrat and some might call themselves Republican. But at the end of the day, they go to the same churches, the same synagogues, the same parties, they're buddy buddies, they golf with each other, they have the same donors, and they really, you know what, on a few things they're different. Maybe they're not white supremacists, maybe they think, ICE terrorizing people is a step too far. Maybe they're like, okay, we should protect Roe v. Wade, but at the end of the day, they have the same donors and they believe in unfettered capitalism and they want to feather their nest and they are much more comfortable with a Donald Trump and an Elon Musk and a Mark Zuckerberg than they are with a Zoran Mamdani, who will maybe make them a bit uncomfortable with the wealth tax. What happens then, Daniel?
I mean, what happens is what happened to AOC's bill to stop insider trading in Congress. She couldn't get support from either side, not from the Democrats, not from the Republicans, because they're doing exactly what it is that you said. Right? They all suckle on the same tit. Why do we have food that is killing us in America? Because both parties take money from big ag. Why do we have an oil industry that is still extracting when climate change is rearing its head every day? Because they're all bought out by big coal, right? Like, and a big oil. They're all being bought by the same people. The biggest issue that we have in this country outside of white nationalism is capitalism, right?
Right.
Capitalism and Citizens United is what destroyed our country, our body of politic. And it's why they're afraid of Zoran Mamdani, because, oh my God, if the people become conscious, if the people wake up and realize that both parties have been doing them dirty, right? Both parties have been making deals on their backs, then everybody's out and a new, fresh group will have to come in. All right. And real change will happen and not just this perpetuation of the status quo. And that is exactly what they don't want because everybody benefits from it. What are we waiting on right now? For Cory Booker to stand up and do some purposeless fucking speech? What are we waiting for right now? Fucking Schumer to do a Negro spiritual and link arms with Hakeem Jeffries? Like, what the fuck are we calling on these people for anymore? And that's why I keep saying we need a national strike because we ain't have no leadership. We have none. We are a leaderless nation right now, being run by idiots and oligarchs.
And folks, if you think, we're too harsh, I just give you Mamdani. It's right in front of you, folks. The last 3 months, they would rather side with a disgraced predator Cuomo that they kicked out of
Uh-oh,
the party
I'm
than embrace
freezing.
Mamdani.
Come
They
back.
would, you with me? I could see you. Can you see me? All right, we could hear you. They would rather uh, literally kick Mamdani to the curb, even though he has galvanized a generation and brought together even Trump voters on the message of affordability, because the message of affordability is so radical to them that they have decided they would rather burn down everything, than have an AOC or a Mamdani come in and bring about true economic change. I just want you all to look at it with your own eyes. Don't listen to me and Danielle. Open your eyes, look at the evidence before you of your eyes and your ears. And just to put a pin on it, Donald Trump admitted he consulted oil companies before and after invading Venezuela and illegally kidnapping Maduro. And in a couple hours, we're going to talk about the broligarchy and the network state and how this has been part of the plan of the billionaires who, along with Russia and China and the United States, want to carve up the world. But speaking about the white supremacy angle, because there's two angles, the greed and the white supremacy. And we're dealing with the world's most shameless. I'm going to be blunt. I don't give a shit. Go ahead, right wing, make this viral. These are terrible people. Triple Trumpers and the modern right wing, they are terrible human beings. You are a bad person. If in the year 2026 you still support Trump and you're a triple Trump, you're not a good human being. I'll say it to your
Yeah.
face. You're a person who's perfectly fine supporting a rapist, a person who partied with a pedophile, a liar, a person who's corrupt and cruel. You're perfectly fine promoting and supporting Nazi conspiracy theories against Haitians. You're perfectly fine supporting a man who last 2 weeks the threat of Somalis. Where did the Somali threat go, Danielle? In the new year, the threat
I
just gone.
I have no idea.
Gone. The caravan is gone. The invasion that is gone. Trans students gone. Haitians who are eating dogs and pets. Somalis. Where are you, Somalis? Oh yeah, it's all manufactured bullshit and hate to divide this country. The hate that they did against the Somalis. The fact that Nick Shirley, his debunked video expose, Republicans in Minnesota said they worked with Nick Shirley to promote this hate against Somalis. What was the reason for it? Number one, distract from Epstein. Number two, feed the culture war. And number three, to hurt Tim Walz. And then finally, they were so desperate last week. What did they do? And what did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump, the president of the United States, posted a conspiracy theory blaming Tim Walz for the murder of Melissa Hortman that was done by a Trump supporter, by an unhinged white Christian nationalist Trump supporter who had a list of 70 Democrats that he wanted to kill. And Republicans have never talked about it once because they found out, oh shit, it's a white Trumper. So then they said, instead of talking about it, let's shamelessly promote this hateful, disgusting lie and conspiracy that it was Tim Walz who killed Melissa Hortman. Donald Trump still has it on, and it's led to today's announcement that Tim Walz will not run again for a third term. Danielle?
I mean, I think that it is a tragedy that Tim Walz is not going to run again. One, because I think that he was good as governor to the people of Minnesota. I think that he is a strong person and he should be our vice president of the United States right now, and he's not. But we have to see how vile our politics has become. Does he need to put his life, his family's lives at risk for this country? Does he need to continue to do that? Right? Does he need to continue to combat what it's like this is what drives good people out of politics because what had a person like Tim Walz, Coach Walz, right, want to do better on behalf of his state is exactly what is now having him pack up his bags. But there is something that I said, and I honestly I liked Tim Walz a lot. I think he was a good guy. I wish that he had become our vice president. I think it was another image of masculinity that this country could have seen. But the thing that gets me, Wash, is that the threats that Tim Walz and a Marjorie Taylor Greene and these white politicians face is like just a drop in the bucket in comparison to what Black representatives and representatives of color and representatives of Muslim faith have been faced with over and over again. And you never hear about any of them quitting, do you? You never hear about any of them packing up their bags, do you? I don't.
Ilhan Omar. And Ilhan Omar has been aggressively attacked by Randy Fine, sitting congressman in good standing, who has openly said that all moderate Muslims are a threat. All moderate mainstream Muslims are a threat that must be eliminated. Senator Tuberville said Islam is the biggest threat. Then you saw Chip Roy and others bring back the anti-Sharia legislation. Did you hear a peep from corporate media? Did you hear a peep from Democratic leadership? Can you imagine if that was said about Jews or any other group? What would happen? Nothing. So what they said was, Ilhan Omar, we'll throw you to the wolves. Rashida Tlaib will censure you. Randy Feinstein has been censured. Tommy Tuberville hasn't been censored. There's 1.8 billion Muslims in the world, and Randy Fine, who's an insane, hardcore pro-Israel right-wing freak, has said that all mainstream Muslims are a threat that must be destroyed. Did you all hear a peep about it? And so Ilhan Omar just trucks on, and meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene can all dish it, but they can't take it. Weak
Yep.
chins, weak knees, weak cankles. Safe spaces for us, no safe space for you. Civility for us, cruelty for you. They're all weak because white supremacy is weak. I'm talking about white supremacy, not white people. I'm talking about white supremacy. None of them can take it. And all these establishment reeks and all these freaks, I know many of these people. Danielle knows many of these people in the green room. Tell them, Danielle, they're all buddy. They're all
Yep.
friends at the
Go to
parties,
the same parties.
at the UTA White House correspondence dinner. They all sit there. Sean Spicer's there with the Republicans, with the liberals, with the hosts of CNN and the hosts of MSNBC. They're
Because
all
it's a
drinking together.
game. It's a game to them.
It's a game. It's
It's a
all a game.
game.
It's fun. It's fun because it doesn't affect them until it will. And then you're seeing let me just keep it blunt. All these people losing their jobs at CBS and ABC, guess where you're going to come to? You're going to come to our neighborhood. You're going to come to our neck of the woods, Substack. That's where you're going to come to. Good luck. Welcome. You're going to have to hustle like the rest of us, right? You thought you were sitting there on your perch, perfectly fine, getting your scoops, right? Partying with Trump, normalizing white supremacy and Nazis because it didn't affect you and your communities. Well, that train's never late, Danielle. Welcome.
Nope.
Learn how
Welcome.
to swim. You're going to jump in this ocean, learn how to swim. Sorry, I had to be petty. But these people for 10 years, man, they sat there and they normalized it. And it's happened in every single fascist regime. Well, business is good. The trains are running. We could make money off of a little genocide. We could make a little money off of a little fascism. We could make a little bit money off of war. This is what they said about Trump. Remember the sheer nakedness of Jeffrey Zucker helping create Donald Trump and said, well, it was good for business. Les Moonves of
Yep.
CBS openly saying
Yep.
Donald Trump might not be good for America, but he's great for CBS. This is who they all are. And I want you all to have your eyes wide open that it was also the liberals and the ones who give to Democratic, the DNC in this business, media, political community. They're all part of the same club. They were all complicit. We have an opportunity to cull these people. 2026 midterms are coming up. If we have midterms, really, folks, if we have midterms, 2028 election, if we have elections, Daniel and I have always been saying a person like this, if I'm him, why would I actually have elections? Who's going to stop me? They're openly talking about the Insurrection Act. He didn't rule it out in the summer. I always want you to keep that receipt in hand. Pam Bondi, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump did not rule out using the Insurrection Act when asked about it. And if I'm him and things are getting desperate, what I would do, Insurrection Act, we're under war, we're being invaded, martial law. I don't want to give them ideas. They've already thought about this.
They've
Uh,
already thought about it.
last,
You're yeah.
go ahead. Last item for today. Um, wait. Maduro tells U.S. judge he was kidnapped as he pleads not guilty. This is correct. That's happening right now. Um, Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, cosplay crusader, a man who did an NDA with a woman that he paid $50,000 to because he sexually assaulted her. A man whose own mother wrote him an email that you never want your mother to write, where she called him an abuser of women. A man who's an alcoholic. A man who has financial impropriety allegations. A man who is a complete born again cosplay crusader. Wrote a book called American Crusade. Part of the a Christ Church that believes that the 19th Amendment should be repealed and women belong in the house. That cosplay crusader, weak as F, Pete Hegseth, has now gone after Mark Kelly, for those who haven't paid attention, and he is censuring him and saying that he's going to cut his military pension, he's going to threaten to demote his rank, and warning of possible criminal prosecution for telling soldiers to obey their oath. Mark
Yeah.
Kelly had responded with a very diplomatic
He
yes.
responded. It was good.
Your take.
I thought his response was good. Did you? I mean, I look, Mark Kelly has his eyes on 2028. I mean, I have my eyes on tomorrow. He has his eyes on 2028, but his response, I'm trying to pull it up. I want to read a piece of it. What
I got it right here.
was yeah, he said I'll jump to the end. So first off, for those just to know a little bit more about Mark Kelly, 30 over 25 years in the US Navy, 39 combat missions, four missions to space. Pete Hegseth can't do a pull-up. Okay? I just want to he can't do a pull-up,
He
okay?
really struggled.
He really struggles. And then I'm going to jump to the bottom where he says, if Pete Hegseth, the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in our country's history, thinks he can intimidate me with the censure or threats to demote me or prosecute me, he still doesn't get it. I will fight this with everything I've got, not for myself, but to send a message back that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump don't get to decide what Americans in this country get to say about their government.
This is overreach. Listen, I will say this for those who are feeling overwhelmed. These are all actions of a weak, desperate administration because they realize they're losing the people. They realize they can't escape from the Epstein files. They realize there's the majority is against this. They realize you can't get rid of all the brown and black people. So they're going all in. The problem is they have the power, they have the military. All the institutions are weak. They've all bent the knee, and you cannot depend on these institutions. So it's going to be up to the rest of us. This is why it's going to be tough. And folks, they're revealing the plot. I want to read what Budget Goebbels, Minnie Himmler, Pee Wee German just wrote Stephen Miller about an hour ago. Not long after World War II, the West dissolved its empires and colonies and began sending colossal sums of taxpayer funded aid to these former territories, despite having made them already far wealthier and more successful. The West opened its borders, a kind of reverse colonization. Look at the word, that's a white supremacist term, reverse colonization, providing welfare and thus remittances while extending to these newcomers and their families, newcomers, not only the full franchise, but preferential legal and financial treatment over the native citizenry. The neoliberal experiment at its core has been long self punishment of the places and peoples that built the modern world. There's no difference between what Stephen Miller said and what neo Nazis say.
Correct.
And he just posted it. And he's the son of
Yes.
European Jews who came here thanks to immigration and chain migration. Um, this is what we're dealing with, folks. We're dealing with white nationalists, white Christian nationalists, and the broligarchs. What unites the Elon Musks, the Stephen Millers, and the Russell Vaughts together is pursuit of white power and wealth, racism and greed, the twin sins of America that now threaten to destroy this country before our 250th birthday. Meanwhile, black and brown people have always tried to save this country from itself. White folks, jump in, jump in.
Anytime. The ward is
Uh,
great.
Danielle, shamelessly promote yourself.
Thank you, my friend. Friends, you're watching this on the Left Hook and the Damn Digest. I am running a New Year's sale right now, 20% off, becoming a paid subscriber. But like Waj always says, we're terrible capitalists, so all of our content is free. But if you do have the ability and the resources, do consider becoming a paid subscriber and supporting my work that way. You can also support by just liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, also on YouTube as well. Think about becoming a paid subscriber to support my work on a monthly basis, or send a super sticker and super thanks as a quick thanks.
What's up with Epstein? We're engaged in the biggest cover up in modern history because Donald Trump is all up in the files and most likely raped girls with Epstein, along with a lot of other powerful men and institutions who covered it up. And they'd rather literally go to war with the world than release the Epstein files.
Correct.
If you really, really want to get Donald Trump, keep at it and say, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. And like I said yesterday, and I'll say it again today, Democrats who have some batches of files from the Epstein estate should just release it today. If I were them, I would release
I don't know what you're holding on to things for. Just
you,
really like you give it everybody, oh, 30 more days, 30 more days. So I remember when I was in school and you didn't finish your homework or you didn't have a report in on time. No professor would ever say to me, here's 30 more days to get your act together. But we consistently do that
yeah, do it
with the
right now.
Department of Justice.
Let me quickly shamelessly promote myself. We're trying to get better at this. It's the Left Hook and Damn Digest. If you're watching this on Substack, it costs nothing to subscribe. Literally, it's free. We have no paywalls. If you're watching on YouTube, it's Danielle Moody's YouTube channel and YouTube with Jatali. Please like and subscribe. I know that sounds ridiculous. It's just how the algorithms work. We're independent. We try to be bold. We try to be honest. We don't hold our punches. When people make mistakes, whether it's progressives, Democrats, independents, we call them out. When they do good, we bring them in. Since we're independent, we're literally one person shops. We depend on the kindness of our viewers and strangers. So, like Danielle, I have a New Year's special as well. I think mine is 25% off because I'm worse capitalist than Danielle. And it's $3.75 a month. It's $3.75 a month. Someone said make it $3, I guess, but
Jesus.
I had
He has kids and
I,
cats.
I have like three kids and three cats, folks. So it's the best I could do. And again, if you don't have the money, it's free. This is anyone
It's
who
great.
just wants to support us and what we do and our ecosystem, and so we can build it out and grow it out. I just put the link in there. It's the lefthook.substack.com/special. First, give money to Danielle, and if you have $3.75 left, come back and give it to me. It's a forever deal. So in this month,
Yes.
if you subscribe to me and Danielle, you'll get that 25% off forever.
Forever.
Yeah, so like $375 a month. Thank you all for joining us. There's 2,000 people who are watching us right now, Danielle. We really appreciate it. This will be up for those who joined us a little bit late. We talked about Donald Trump's imperialist vision, the carving of the spheres of influence between China, Russia, and the United States, America's twin sins of greed and racism at full display. What happened to the Somalis? Where did the Somali threat go? Oh, I guess that's gone because Tim Walz, they knocked him out. And also Pete Hegseth and him cosplay crusading against Mark Kelly, who, like Danielle said, has 2028 ambitions and is finally fighting. Folks, be kind, be nice. Please like and subscribe. And please, oh, please don't be
Be a
a fascist.
fascist.
And I'll be back in 1 minute with Miles Taylor, who was the anonymous whistleblower in the first Trump administration. And he independently was told by Stephen Miller that Stephen Miller dreamt of bombing Mexico in the first administration. So basically, here you go, folks. What they dreamt about in the first administration is happening right now. That'll be on in 2 minutes. Jump on back. And Danielle, when are you going to be back on today?
I'm going to be back on today at 2 p.m. Eastern. Well, what is it? Is it 2 now? I have no idea. I'm in a different country. Uh, I'll be back on it too.
She's in Jersey, a different country.
It is a different country.
Everyone.
Bye,
Later.
guys.